let's go over installing the perfect optimization guide for Windows 11 today. This is something that kind of popped up in my feed. There was actually a tweet by Theo Joe that said there's an international version of the English language install on Windows that makes it to where it doesn't include any third-party bloat, which I was like, what? I think I actually replied to one of these. Yeah, right here. Did you know you can install without any bloatware simply selecting English World as the time currency at format on the initial install? And I'm like, that sounds interesting. So I'm downloading the international version of it through like Windows 11 download. And yeah, that's kind of wild. So normally when you go to download it, you come down to here, it'll expand out. And let's say we go download now, choose product language. Instead of just going English United States, go English International. So that's the ISO I'm grabbing. And I kind of want to do a quick run through today of it because I think that'd be kind of cool. Optimizing Windows, but I'm going to do a video on this, like a really tight done video, but I want to see if it actually works first because I've never done the international install as world, and then we just need to set the region. So the region you can easily pull up with like an INTDL, I think it is, like international CPL. And then you pull up the old region panel, and then you can change your locale and all that. So this would be like installing Arch Linux without a locale, which would set it to like an agnostic. Now, why that's important is because Microsoft has to abide by the world's laws when you do an international install, which means many like European countries and other places say you cannot install just willy-nilly. You can't bundle TikTok. You can't get paid to bundle these software in there. So it fundamentally changes some of the baked-in spyware or baked in. Yeah, some of the telemetry probably is affected a bit, but also I think the big thing that's affected is the bundled software, which is great because that should be a pretty clean. At least that's what it says according to the Theo Joe tweet. I was like, all right, let's give it a whirl. I was like, that sounds really cool. Like, holy crap, that'd be a new way of installing Windows, and it'd cut down on the debloat time too, as we would have less to uninstall. So we're gonna do a new one. We're gonna grab the stock one first, though. I think that'd be kind of cool. Stock Windows 11 right here. Let's power that on. Let's just see what the stock Windows 11 looks like first. Oh, yeah. The hard drive, yeah. If you're unsure on your hard drive, definitely don't go all willy-nilly with it. Obviously, I do a lot of backups, and most of my work product is actually on like a redundant NAS box. So any of my systems, I could just go up to and just set it on fire, and it wouldn't matter, other than having to replace it. But a lot of the data and stuff is not a big deal. But yeah. I could totally see like many people going, oh my gosh, what are you doing, Titus? That's crazy. But yeah, let's see. Does this not have? I think yeah. Oh well. We'll just do it like that. It looks a little jank, but I wanted to just boot up. This is the English US version that most of us install out of the box. And it has about 150 processes, about 3.4 memory, and you'll see usually comes with like Netflix, Clipchank, Prime Video. I think there's even TikTok and crap in here. No, this one doesn't have TikTok. How about that? No, this is one that I haven't touched. I always keep a stock load around just so I can see what normal people deal with. So it does drop and kind of settles into about a 140 process. 2.5 gigs of memory after boot. I just kind of wanted to give a baseline. So then when we install the international version, what does that look like? Yeah, that resolution. Whoa. Yeah, we'll see. We're going to go new virtual machine on this. Let's just grab us the English international one we got right here. And we'll go from there. We're going to go... we'll just call this INTAL for international. Location. Do we have enough space? Yeah, we got plenty of space. We'll just throw it on the C drive. That's fine. I guess that's fine. Don't think we really need to. Sure. Did I do encryption? No. Huh. Whatever. All right, so let's just go 64 gigs. Sure. Let's just power it on. We're gonna just do all stock settings. Well, not actually. We're gonna change a couple things. Let's just go with like 10 gigs. Processors. Let's go 8. Oh, never mind. My bad. We're doing 1 processor. Cores per processor. Let's go 8. 8 cores. Well, actually, we'll do 6 because I think it's an 8-core system I'm on right now, but I don't want to use all of it. Virtualize. We're not using. Yeah, we're gonna do AMD V. I think that should be good, and nothing else. Yeah, I'm curious about the junk that comes with the stock. I think that's where Microsoft makes a ton of money too. So, all right. So we're gonna start this up. Oh, it's not supported. Continue. Yeah, sure. Oops. It did not like that change. My bad. Change settings. Let's go over to processors. We will not virtualize that. Oh, encryption's required to emulate TPM. Gotcha. That's what's up. So we have this language to install. Change the time and currency format to English World. Okay, so maybe this isn't the method. Okay, so don't grab the international version. We don't want Great Britain. Darn it. Darn it, we will stop that. Let's just power this guy off. We're gonna time that out. We're just gonna shut down the desk. The guest. And we're gonna go to settings. Let's switch back to our other drive. So English International is not what we want. Let's just grab regular old English from States. So we'll use the standard one and see if this option exists. Oh, does it? Wait, did that not work? Well, let's browse. I got a pretty good host of Windows ISOs we can choose from. Good buffet. Windows 11. I think it's just Win 11. V1 should be fine. Although, after looking at that, we got 22H2. This one should be fine. This is only a couple months old. ISO image path points to path. Okay, that's fine. All right, now we should be fine. All right, let's reboot this. Did I miss it? I bet I missed it. All right, so now we should change this to world. Okay, so just grab the regular one, not the international version. US world for the time currency format. And there's nothing. Can't change anything else. Okay, let's see what happens. Apparently this gives it a blank slate, so we shouldn't see TikTok or Prime Video or any of that other stuff. I'm skeptical a little bit. We're just gonna go no product key, Windows 11 Pro, because, well, we want GPOs and other stuff. Hopefully nobody out there is using home. Ugh, it's gross. So we'll just do our basic install here. Yeah. I did I just got back from LTX and it was a blast. Good talking with everybody. I knew ahead of time. I went by myself, not with my wife or kids. So I just packed a backpack and just jammed everything into one bag, took it on the plane. That way they couldn't lose my luggage, because when I was talking to Jay's 2 Cents, they lost his luggage. I was like, yeah, that's why I didn't do that, because of customs and everything else. And then, yeah, the flight was just, I woke up at 3 a.m. to come back, and getting there, I think it was like a 9 a.m. flight, so it wasn't that bad. But coming back was pretty brutal, but it was only nonstop, and I didn't want to do any jumps, because I know I've flown enough to where if it's not a nonstop flight, you're just asking for trouble, especially if you leave later in the day. It's gonna end in a tragedy. So I just did the first flights of the day, nonstop, 4 hours, knocked it out, and then yeah, it was good. It was a fun time. I got to see everything, got to ask a bunch of questions because most people there were all like full-time YouTubers. So it was fun. Yeah, and I still was able to live stream from LTX. I think the last live stream I did on this Twitch channel, I just kind of stopped by Best Buy and grabbed a Razer streaming kit. I wanted to see how good I could make like some really crappy equipment, like the little crappy condenser mic that they come with. I was listening back and I was like, ooh, that condenser mic, I actually kind of like the way it sounded. So it wasn't so bad coming from the hotel room. And then the webcam, as long as you get your lighting right, honestly, the video doesn't matter that much. Not as clear as obviously something like this setup, but it was good enough. I'll probably, I need, next week I'm going to San Antonio. So I'll be, both live streams will be done through a laptop, same laptop. Probably the same kit too, because that kit worked pretty good. Yeah, I remember the inversions and K inversions would not include bloat apps. The problem with those, I think it was like Red Dead Redemption required like a media experience kit that you couldn't install on those. So it was a little bit weird, and they don't have media codecs, yeah. But I think you can pretty much get through most of it. What do you think about the new Stream UI? Steam has a new UI? I'm a little bit behind the ball. Oh, you know what? Baldur's Gate 3 came out today, didn't it? Oh, dude, we gotta install that. There's a new UI. This looks normal to me, right? Huh. It's party time. Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 stream. Nah, I'm just kidding. Nobody wants to see me play Baldur's Gate. At least, let's get this done. Yeah, it seems a little bit new. I like the transferring down here and some of the other aspects of it. That's cool. They didn't change too much. Huh. Alright. Alright, let's see the out-of-box experience and see what we get. Suppose we should install tools. Okay. We'll grab our VMware tools as well. They mostly changed the game overlay as far as I can tell. Okay. Did you notice any bugs or performance issues? Not so much. Oh, Windows Server for a streaming PC. That's a really good idea. That's a real IK. That's a really good idea. Setting up Windows Server for the streaming PC, Server 2016. Yeah, you can get them like G2A. I think has them for like $20 if you want to go that route. I still have a bunch of old keys that I can use that old employers and stuff don't use. Okay, let's skip. So we got a region error, which is fine. All right, we're just gonna use US. Oops, no. No second layout. Interesting. This first part's taking a little bit. There was a timeout because of a region error, and now we're getting this. I'm curious to see what this looks like, because I know that one tweet from Theo Joe about doing the world region instead of an English region went viral. It got over 1 million views. For Twitter, that's a ton. So I don't know. Let's see what happens. What would be the advantages? Well, Windows versus Linux, you're talking more compatibility. Like, there's like plenty of things I use for streaming, like a lot of the Elgato gear that is Windows only. So that's why you would choose like a server 2016 over, let's say, a Linux setup if the equipment you're using has Windows only binaries available. But Active Directory, yeah, I guess if you're managing a ton, Active Directory is really not worth setting up unless you got like 10 plus PCs. Yeah, I'm serious. I wonder what optimizations we can do with just a base system like this. All right, so we'll call this one test 22H2. And we already got a baseline from the stock VM to see what the difference is between the world region and just using English United States region. I'm kind of curious to see if there's anything else that loads. If the process counts like 10 or so processes lower, there's probably going to be quite a bit of telemetry that needs to be set up. So that'd be kind of cool. Just call this test. Skip through all this. Sure. Doesn't matter. All this gets changed anyways. Once we run our debloat tool. Yeah, I did another WinUtil update last night. So I've been really hitting hard on that Windows utility because I really want to get back into the Win One-Shot program. Instead of running the utility, I could just click one file and it would just do everything for me. Because I like to do that in C#. Maybe add a little bit of a front end, but I kind of just want that for myself, to be honest with you. But I probably, anybody that like bought Windows utility would get one shot. If I was going to give it out to anybody else, I'd go ahead and give it to all those people too. What's your opinion on AMD's new Rock M? It's not that new, right? It's been around for a bit, but interesting. I haven't delved right into it. I'm not much of a hardware guy, to be honest with you. I'm all software side of things for the most part. For encoding, I really want to move to AV1. So, okay. That is much cleaner. That's a lot cleaner, y'all. Still got Clipchamp. Edge is still there. So's Teams. But that is considerably less garbage. Okay. What version is this? Let's go WinVer. 22H2. Interesting. Okay. So we got this. Let's go ahead and set our region. Because if you don't do a region, let's see, I bet Microsoft Store. Yeah. Store is not available in your country or region. Let's fix that. Let's do like an INT, DL, CPL. Let's change our locale, United States. Yep. Okay. Copy settings. Location world. Okay, so changing that location, English world, to English United States. Apply. Let's copy that. Huh. Interesting. Let's do a log out, log back in. It is Windows after all. We might need to do a reboot. Been using Linux for too long. All right, we got that. Still shows world there. Interesting. But I feel like the store should load now. Let's see. I mean, it's kind of a feature, not a bug. But, okay, so INTDL is not enough to set it. Just to make sure, additional settings. Huh. So this used to be okay. So maybe they want it through the actual settings menu. Region. Okay. How strange. Language and region. So this was added in Windows 10 probably. I'm using the legacy panel from Windows 7. Okay. Restart. Why I'm doing this is, one, setting it to the proper region, and in case you want to use the Microsoft Store, if you're a masochist. And then I also wanted to go into here and then run updates and see if it rebloats itself. Hey, by the way, if you didn't know, Windows Update is committed to helping reduce carbon emissions. It's hard for me to take Microsoft seriously, man. Like, really? What a bunch of hippies. Oh my god. Alright, anyways. Like, who believes that? You gotta be high to believe that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, anywho. We'll let that run. Let this update. Get that going. Yeah, the net zero hype train. I'm so jaded. Maybe, I don't know. If it was actually helping, I would totally be about it. But what ends up happening, and I don't want to get political, but it's like all these companies are doing is buying emissions credits from people that are not cutting down trees in like a sanctioned part of the land. So they buy these emission credits to pollute somewhere that's probably not gonna. It's such a bait and switch type program for the net zero stuff. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I'll leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there. But if you do believe that they actually are helping and the stuff, look into it a little bit more, you'd be a little bit like, whoa. How was LTX? LTX was great, man. I got to talk to a ton of people. It was a blast. Yeah. Oh, why this is going? We probably should go ahead and toss in, what is it? Setup. Probably should have done setup 64, but whatever. It should auto. The audio console, yeah. I'm surprised of how much access we had. I think initially, like, the LTT team thought there was only going to be like a handful of creators that would show up for the tour, so they only had like 2 or 3 employees there to handle like 40 creators that showed up. Like there was some big names there. I think like Jay, Snazzy Labs was there, Quinn from Snazzy Labs, and there's like literally 40 YouTubers there. It was nuts. And since there were so many of us, they didn't have enough people to show us around, so we just kind of got to wander around his facilities. I literally could have just gotten back there and unplugged everything. I could have messed with all the gain knobs, and they would not have known there was so many people. I was like, oh, that would have been super evil. But I've been in a situation where I've had like that happen, and I would never do that to somebody. That's just evil. Especially when you get audio working, you're just like, oh. Yeah, group after group showed up. And it was like, a lot of people don't realize it's not Vancouver. I thought it was like he was close to the city, but dude, he's out in the country. It's pretty rural out there. And luckily one of the guys I made friends with, Chris at Crosstalk, he bribed the Uber driver to stay around because he was worried we wouldn't be able to get Ubers out where we were. So he paid him $100 to hang out and take us back to the hotel after the tour was done. Some of the other people there, I think they all made it back eventually. But yeah, it was shout out to Chris from Crosstalk. Otherwise, I might still be in Vancouver. We need a 2023 Arch drunk install. I meant to tell you guys about that once this installs will reboot. But it was really interesting that I'm kind of inspired. I've revitalized and rehydrated the ArchTitus project, because there's DWM I'm using now, and then there's also Hyperland that occasionally I drop in on, and I like to use Arch when I'm using Hyperland with Wayland setup. And I'm gonna revamp the ArchTitus project and kind of retool it to just have those selections. You don't need to use my project for installing Arch anymore. The Arch installer is amazing. That's what the whole reason I started it back then was because the Arch installer kind of sucked when it first came out. So that's why I did what I did. But I'm going to redo that whole deal. And then it just makes Arch installs super, super easy. The food was really good, yeah. They had a creator dinner later on. And Linus showed up after because he was doing the WAN show. He was like an hour after we started eating. Kind of just was like, hey, is everything okay? He was super gracious and real nice. But yeah, the food was delicious. It was a little swanky for my taste because I'm such a simpleton. You know, they had like jumbo shrimp, chicken, sushi, whole bunch of stuff. And the desserts were like super fancy. And I was like, you know what? You could have just gone with a soft serve. I would have been okay with that. But it was really good. It was really good stuff. Oh, it is still in the city. Okay. I mean, I thought it was kind of country land. It seemed pretty spread out to me. But then again, I'm in Dallas-Fort Worth, so I mean, if I don't see big buildings everywhere, I feel like it's the country. I mean, it's just kind of funny because I was actually born in central Kansas. Population like nothing. I will say, like, the highlight of my trip, well, I wouldn't say it's the highlight, but what I like the most about like Canada in general, we don't have Tim Hortons in Dallas-Fort Worth, like, at all. All we have is like Dunkin' Donuts and Dutch Bros and Starbucks. Man, Tim Hortons was freaking, oh, It's like affordably priced coffee that doesn't suck. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I was like waking up at like 5 a.m. and then just walking over to like Tim Hortons and grabbing coffee. And I was like, this is the life. Because it's hard to find. Like, I'd say their coffee's better than Starbucks and like a third of the price. So I shout out to that. I did say I really enjoyed that about Canada. I know they have Tim Hortons in the US too, in parts, but it's mostly up north. I don't think we have very much down here. All right, we can restart now. Let's do it. Fancy WM? I haven't checked Fancy WM. A lot of window managers and Windows kind of rough. I like, was it Cormambi? I can't say it properly, but that one I did try and it was okay. But at the end of the day, I was like, ah, heck. I'd rather just use, what is it, Fancy Zones or what is it? I can tell you. Yeah, Fancy Zones. I ended up using just Fancy Zones for most of it. It's okay. It's like a noob-friendly tiling window, so to speak. Yeah, I would say one thing about Vancouver, it was like a nice version of New York. It was like New York if it actually was clean. It was like New York without like all the trash. You know? You take like the railway and you're like, oh cool, I'm not sitting in pee. So, yeah. Don't get me started about New York. I don't have very high opinion of it. It's like Swiss New York, yeah. It was good. It was good. Yeah, I think I actually met Louis Rosman on the way. I think it was the elevator. It was like a real brief ride. But we talked for a second. But he got mobbed. Like all the big guys at LTX, I felt terrible for because they like couldn't take 2 steps before they'd get mobbed by either fans or they'd come back to where the creators were. Like there's like a little section where the creators could hide, but then like all the other creators would swarm like the big guys. So like anybody like that was real big just was constantly just had people, especially the LTT. Like I didn't talk to almost anybody from LTT except for like Emily for a little bit, because they were just mobbed nonstop. And I was like, oh, I felt bad. And me personally, like it was just a lot of people and noise to where I was like, I had to leave for a little bit, just go back to my hotel room and just be like, okay, I'm just going to lay down for a second. This was a lot of stimulus. All right, let's see. Did it rebloat Windows? That's why we did all those updates. It did not look like it, at least. Well, this is a pretty good way of installing Windows. Okay. I like it. So what I would probably do from here is just run the toolbox, do like a IWR. Let's try it out and see if we run into any problems. We're going to remove Edge, probably install Brave. Try this. And I'm going to make a video that streamlines this whole process. We'll avoid Chocolatey for now. Here. Let's go full screen with this. Drop this. All right. We're just going to install Brave. Yeah, Winget did work. So I redid Winget install these times. I make sure to bypass the Microsoft Store completely. So how I do it is I use NuGet and all CLI now. I don't trust the Microsoft Store to open or do anything from the GUI. And everything's done from PowerShell. So we shouldn't run into any more problems with that. And that was, I think, last week's streams where we kind of went and did that. So we'll just do desktop. I'm going to remove these and kind of work on streamlining those this week too. Or maybe next week, I mean. Let's just go ahead, run temporary files, disk cleanup, dark theme it on. And we'll do ultimate performance. Oh, and did we check to see, before we do any of this, what is... Processes are the same. Memory's a little bit less with about 3 gigs, but very, very similar to the other way. All right, well, let's run these tweaks. Ooh, forgot to do Edge. We'll come back and hit Edge and Cortana too. So I want to see what happens with the search bar. I think Cortana will break search, but we'll see. Taskbar will happen on reboot. These are registry entries we do, so almost everything will be on reboot. The other thing I kind of want to revert around and bypass is stopping the services, because I had a couple people submit issues about running this toolbox and then not rebooting. So a reboot is pretty much needed whenever you run tweaks, especially something like this. So I'll probably change up that terminology. No, they made it a lot harder to remove Edge these days. The Edge was almost a week of streams to get rid of. It was a pretty brutal thing. I think I ended up using Ayo's project from GitHub, and that's commented in here as well. Yeah, let's see. We'll go ahead and disable Cortana and see if it breaks the search, because like, let's go. Yeah, so that's working right now. Brave, yeah. And these are going to be like the advanced tweaks, so everyone can run essential tweaks without any worry of things breaking. If you disable game DVR, obviously that's the Xbox bar. That's going to disable the Xbox bar, so that is a thing. I guess I should add maybe disable game DVR and Xbox bar. That's probably needed, because there are people that have mentioned that. All right, here we go. That'll get going. We'll do our tweaks, services. This is actually stopping many services in the background. It'll probably get stuck on probably like term service, or let's see, RM service now. No, it flew right through it. Never mind. On a fresh install, we probably won't run into any issues then. Alrighty, that looks good. And let's go ahead, remove Cortana and Edge. Yeah, Avio. Oops. Oh, yeah, we're creating the restore point after the tweaks. That's a good point, Steven. Okay, so we got that. Edging done and done. Let's close these out, give it a reboot. We should have a dark theme on reboot, and I would say probably around 90 processes instead of 140, 150. This also redirects from the page, so if you want to keep like widgets for whatever reason, you can, and it's not gonna affect things. So let's try this first. Brave. All right, great, this is working. And if you, let's set Brave as our default just to make sure. I think we need to launch it once to set it as the default. Skip that. Perfect. Okay, so now that Edge is set as default, let's say you're using this widget screen. Widgets are broken. Okay. Notifications probably are too. No, notifications are working. Okay, that's fine. Let's just go. Sure. Let's just click this and see what happens. It should launch into Brave. Great. That's perfect. But if we go Edge, you see Edge isn't there anymore. Is there any shortcut links? No shortcut links either. So when you're here, and let's say we're going to serve christitus.com. Not quite there. Okay. Let's go Chris Titus Tech, maybe. I've never actually used this to search, so, you know, being redirect. Okay, yeah, it's still pulling everything up, so it redirects everything properly to Brave, and it looks like Cortana search is still functional, which is great. And we have a pretty minimal system. Let's check our processes. 80 processes, 20 gigs of memory. Looking solid, man. And all the functionality is still there, except for widgets. The widgets are not there, but I mean, I'm sorry, guys. If you're a widget user, you just don't use my tool. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna make that a thing. I'm not gonna code around fixing Microsoft widgets. It's a stupid idea, and I can't get on board with letting that go. So we're gonna make sure widgets. It's just, I'm never gonna make that work. So other than that, I'll leave that. Now, if widgets ever did become useful in the future, and it wasn't just like them showing a bunch of news stories that I don't want to see, then I would probably revamp or soften that position a little bit. But this should be good for almost everybody. You have a pretty minimal setup, especially in this day and age. It's about as minimal as you can get. Using that world hack from Theo Joe, I really enjoyed that. That was a lot less bloat that I had to uninstall. So that's definitely worth doing on everyone, because then you just come into here, go settings, region, and region settings, and then change this region format to, or the country or origin. There should be a legacy panel for that. Let me see. Set country, CPL panel. Is that? Okay. Int CPL didn't quite have it. Location, format location. I think they removed it from the legacy panel. Yeah, see? We don't have the location. So maybe let's see if there's a old one, because I would like to change that if we could, but I don't know, just in case they decide to try and hide it on us. Maybe time date CPL. So let's just time zone, additional clocks. Yeah, it's not gonna. One other issue on the tool I kind of want to change. I would love this to be like ntp.pool.org. Or like us.ntp.pool.org instead of the Windows time, because the time server from Windows always seems to be broken. That's actually probably not it, is it? What is the NTP pool? Oh, it's pool. Yeah. Oops. Pool.ntp.org. Oops. My bad. Or pool 0. I think you can actually preface this with your country of origin. Like US. Yeah. us.pool.ntp.org is probably what most people should use. That's kind of neat. Okay. But overall, this would be a really good base system for many people. Even though it is, you know, 22H2. It's a lot better than most out there. And it's snappy enough. And this is just a VM too. I just kind of wanted to do this before actually doing it in a YouTube video. Just kind of workshop it, see any like nuances. The big nuance there was just use the standard ISO. It's kind of wild that just doing that and then setting the region. You could just do like Windows I to launch into here and then just type region and then set your country or region here. This is a new field that wasn't in like Windows 7, so there's no legacy panel to easily get to it. But yeah, oh well. Not bad, y'all. We'll take this down. What do we got? Delete from disk. Yeah, we'll just dump that. Very cool. Yeah, 22H2 is still pretty new. And oh god, what was it? I was talking to, I forget, somebody that worked for Microsoft this weekend, and they were, you know, they you know, and like Barnacle went full time. He was part of the testing program. He was a tester for Microsoft, and all the Microsoft testers got laid off. So I always joked around saying there was no internal testing anymore at Microsoft, but apparently I was right. I didn't actually know that that's a thing. Like, they have no quality control anymore. That's why a lot of the new versions of Windows always feel terrible and like you're a guinea pig and a beta tester. It's because you are. And if you want to be an alpha tester, you sign up for the insider panel. So for any, like, nobody in IT says update your system anymore. At least they shouldn't. At least feature updates, because wow, if they do, they just don't know that. Well, they haven't been using Windows lately. that's all I'm saying. So you would actually just go English United States for the ISO download. That's kind of neat. Kind of a neat tidbit.